Hello guys, welcome to my channel today. I want to take you through a story, the story of James, a 55-year-old man who thought time had extinguished the spark of his charm, leaving him alone in the relentless pace of life. One late winter afternoon in Los Angeles, James sat by the window of his small apartment in the Hollywood Hills, holding a cold cup of coffee. His deep eyes looking out at the misty hills under a clear sky. The temperature outside was only about 50 degrees as the cold air seeping through the cracks of the window, but inside he felt even colder. He believed the age was a burden. The deep wrinkles and grey hair were signs that he had been pushed out of the love circle. He wondered, who will notice me when the sunshine of youth fades on Sunset Boulevard? But then, like the brilliant sunset that broke over the Venice Beach skyline, a truth dawned on him, and it shook his heart. Young women's souls as vibrant and radiant as the California, a sunshine, were not just after flashy looks or the fleeting years of youth. No, they craved something deeper, more intense beyond the Hollywood spotlight. They sought a man who bore the marks of time, the calmness of a soul that had weathered storms, and the warmth of a heart that knew how to love amid the hustle and bustle of life. And if, like James, you were an older man who thought you were lost in the crowded streets of LA, then listen to me. You held a quiet power that you had not yet realized. It's not the tome looks, it's not the empty flirtations on Santa Monica Beach. It's the glow of experience. It's the pool of maturity. It's the quiet harbor that young women's hearts silently yearn for in their quiet dreams. Under the stars, come. Join me in this street to discover what really makes a young woman not just pass you on Wilshire Boulevard, but stop, not just smile, but open her heart, because my friend, love isn't measured in years. It's measured in the heartbeat of two souls finding each other in the city of angels. Are you ready? Let me tell you James's story, and maybe yours too. James, at 55, believed that love had closed its door on him forever, like the fading sunset on Malibu Beach, leaving him alone. Amid the silent waves, he had wowed himself up in invisible walls of doubt, harsh beliefs of his own. Making young women will never look at me again, he whispered to the darkness of his small Hollywood Hills. Apart, I'm old, past my prime. A pale shadow on the fringes of life, the wrinkles on his face, the wisps of grey hair that fell under the Los Angeles street light seemed to be proof of that fear, that he was no longer valuable to anyone. The age had robbed him of the light that once shone in his eyes. But then one day, like a sudden dawn on Sunset Boulevard, he came across a video, just as you are now, and a quiet but powerful truth pierced his shell. Research shows that 56% of women prefer men who are 3 to 6 years older than them, and many young women even dream of men who are a decade older than them. Why? The answer is not what he thought. Not flashy looks, not toned muscles or perfect smiles under the Hollywood spotlight. No, women are attracted to something deeper, an unspoken force that only time can refine. Maturity. They crave a man who has been through the storms of life and still stands firm, who knows who he is, and does not need to prove it with ostentation. For them, it is a sense of security, something that young men, with all their enthusiasm but lack of depth, rarely bring. James suddenly realized that, and a wind of change blew through his soul. He did not try to run back in time, did not try to turn himself into a 20-year-old boy with frivolous dreams. Instead, he began to love himself again. He chose a crisp white shirt, put on a warm navy sweater, and entered the gym not to show off his muscles, but to waken the vitality that still smoldered in his body. The drops of sweat falling to the floor were not an effort to become younger, but a declaration that age was not a shackle. It was a pair of wings, a silent advantage that he carried with him through the years. And in that journey, James not only found himself, but also opened the door for a young woman's heart somewhere out there to be moved by his gentle light, the light of a man who knew how to love, how to live, and how to cherish every beat of life. One gentle afternoon in Los Angeles, when the late afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the bustling streets of Santa Monica, James happened to meet Emma, a 25-year-old girl with bright eyes of intelligence, a deep soul, and a strong love for books and philosophical questions about life in a small coffee shop nestled on Wilshire Boulevard, where the aroma of roasted coffee mingled with the sound of waves echoing from the shore. Emma walked up to James's table, her smile as bright as the light. Through the palm trees, she hesitantly asked, "Honey, can I borrow this chair? It's too crowded." James nodded, smiled gently, and just a few minutes later she returned, holding a thick book in her arms, her voice soft. "Can I sit with you? It's too noisy over there." "I can't concentrate on reading." That was the beginning, a simple but fateful moment opening the door between two souls who seemed distant. They began to talk, not with the usual high-pitched banter or empty flirtations that young men on Venice Beach were accustomed to. Instead, James opened up, telling of his adventures, the time he got lost in the back alleys of Florence, the night he spent in an old church, the quiet afternoons on the banks of Theampol in Amsterdam, where he learned to listen to his own voice. Emma sat there, her eyes sparkling, sometimes giggling, sometimes pensive, as if absorbed in his stories. "I never thought an older person could bring such wonderful experiences," she said, her voice sincere. The words startled James like a sudden cold wind blowing through the Hollywood hills. But when he looked into Emma's eyes, he saw no distance or judgment, only pure curiosity and a quiet admiration. Then she asked, as if to touch him, deep down, "Are you ever afraid of getting old?" James was silent for a moment, his eyes on the window where the lights of L were beginning to twinkle in the dusk, and then he replied, "I used to. But not anymore. Aging is not a loss, it's a gift. The beautiful scars that tell our story." Emma smiled, a smile as gentle as the waves of Santa Monica lapping at the shore. "Get her here." Emma wasn't interested in James's numbers on paper. She was drawn to the calmness he exuded, to the time-worn stories he told young women. Like Emma, weren't looking for the drama and instability of men their own age. They craved a deep connection, a man who understood life, understood himself, and who offered a sense of security. Like the warm street lights on a cold the night in James, Emma found that a seasoned soul, a peaceful haven in the hustle and bustle of life. James and Emma began to enter each other's lives, like two lines accidentally intersecting in the hustle and bustle of Los Angeles, where the lights of Hollywood sparkle and the waves of Santa Monica gently sing lab. Every night they met regularly, not in noisy dates under the spotlight, but in simple but meaningful moments, reading books together in a quiet corner of a coffee shop on Wilshire Boulevard, debating philosophical pages under the shady palm trees in Griffith Park, or walking together on Venice Beach, where the waves told wordless stories. James felt a strange affection creeping into his heart, like a cool ocean breeze blowing through his dry days he loved to see. Emma smiled, her eyes like waiting up when she talked about her favorite books. He loved the way she tilted her head, thoughtfully, her short hair blowing in the LA wind. But then, in the midst of those tender moments, an invisible fear rose within him, fear that the 30-year-age gap was an insurmountable wall, fear that his experienced heart, scarred by time, was not strong enough to bring happiness to a radiant soul. Like Emma, he wondered under the red sunset of Malibu if he was dreaming a dream too far away. Then one evening, as the two of them sat on a wooden bench by the Santa Monica beach, the lights from the pier sparkling on the water, Emma suddenly asked, her voice clear but meaningful, "Have you ever thought about loving someone younger than you?" James paused, his heart beating as fast as the first time he stood on the stage of his life. Decades ago, he hesitated, his eyes turned to the ocean. "Yes, but I'm not sure if that's fair to them. Can someone like me with a heavy P asked, give them what they deserve?" Emma looked straight at him, her eyes as bright as the stars in the LA sky, and said, "Happiness is not about age, honey. I don't need a young man full of drama and instability. Like the waves out there, I want someone mature, someone who makes me feel safe, like a harbor in the middle of life." Her words were like light piercing the night, dispelling the fear in James's heart. This is the key. You young women like Emma are not chasing after youth or the glitz of Rodeo Drive. They crave stability, an older man with experience, confidence, and a heart that is steady in the storm. James realized that he didn't need to pretend to be young, didn't need to chase after things he wasn't. He just needed to be himself, as dignified as the Hollywood hills, as sincere as the warm light in the LA night. And that was all Emma needed to open her heart to one December. Winter day in Los Angeles, when a rare rain fell gently on the sparkling street, James stood in his small apartment in the Hollywood Hills, his heart flattering like a young man falling in love for the first time. He'd invited Emma to dinner, not to show off, but to share a part of himself, a warm corner in the sometimes too cold life of the City of Angels. He had prepared everything with the meticulousness of an experienced man: fragrant beef in bourbon sauce, a bottle of red wine placed on a small wooden table, soft yellow lights shining as if to embrace the space. The rain pattered against the window, mixed with the soft jazz music playing from the old speaker, creating a perfect picture of sophistication without being ostentatious. When Emma walked in, her short wet hair gently clinging to her cheeks, she looked around and smiled, a smile as bright as the Venice beach sun in the middle of winter. "You are truly a sophisticated person." Those words were like a warm ray that pierced James's heart, dispelling hidden worries. He had dinner began, the space filled with Emma's clear laughter and James's deep voice, like two melodies blending in the rain. Outside they told each other little stories about their favorite books, about their forgotten dreams under the lights of Rodeo Drive. Then, when the bottle of red wine was half empty, their eyes met longer, deeper, as if the whole outside world had disappeared, leaving only two souls searching for each other. James took a deep breath. His trembling hand grasped Emma's, and he said, his voice horror with emotion, "I like you, Emma, not because you're young, not because I want to find my youth again, but because you make me feel that this life is worth living, worth loving again." Emma's eyes sparkled. She squeezed his hand gently, responding with a sincerity that melted his heart. "I like you too, because you are you, not fake, not hiding the scars of time." Under the dim light, amid the steady sound of rain, they shared their first kiss, gentle as the water drops rolling down the glass window, but fierce as the waves of Monica breaking onto the shore. Understand her hair. Emma was not attracted to James's appearance, not the flashy things that Elle often celebrates. She was fascinated by the sincerity. He brought the quiet strength that radiated from a man who had passed half his life but still kept his heart open. Young women like Emma did not need flowery words or super oral perfection. They craved a man who understood them, felt them without them having to say it out loud. Someone like James, who turned simple moments into eternal memories. Under the rainy sky of Los Angeles, James and Emma, like two lost stars who finally found each other in the bright night sky of Los Angeles. Together, they weathered the curious stares and meaningless whispers of the bustling crowd on Sunset Boulevard. They were more than lovers. They became inseparable hearts of each other's lives, like the waves of Santa Monica Beach blending into the golden sand. For James, Emma was a breath of fresh air blowing through his dry days of living. Inspiration, a warm ray of sunshine piercing the midst of the Hollywood Hills, awakening his heart from its long slumber. He looked into her bright eyes and saw a new world where age was no longer a burden, but a pair of wings that lifted him higher than ever, and for Emma, James was a steady anchor in the storm of life, a peaceful harbor in the noisy streets of LA where she could let her soul wander without fear of getting lost. He is not just the man she loves, but the beacon of light, whose wisdom and sincerity brighten her darkest nights. Together they write a love story that is timeless, where the wrinkles on Jam's face and Emma's youthful smile blend into a gentle melody under the city lights. What is the message today on Understand? Her it is that you don't need to turn back the clock, don't need to chase after past youth to conquer a young woman like Emma. Listen to her heart. She is not looking for flashy, empty promises under the lights of Rodeo Drive. What she craves is maturity. A man who knows who he is, who offers security, like a warm streetlight on a cold night, and a sincere heart that is ready to open up without fear. Age is just a pale number on paper, but how you live, how you love, how you turn simple moment into eternity is what makes you irresistible. If James and Emma's story resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more insightful psychological explorations on Understand Her. See you in the glorious sunset of Los Angeles, where love always finds its way.